Hi, Timothy Unger here. In this video, I'm introducing my Java 101 course, and I've got some lesson objectives for a first lesson in Java. The lesson objectives are as follows. So by the end of the lesson, you want to be able to print your name to the console with a small greeting. You want to learn how to create and use variables to print to the console. And you want to learn about the following data types. So integers, doubles, floats, string, short, long, boolean, and byte. You'll know you succeeded if you can print a welcome message with your name to the console, preferably using a variable in there. And you can use Java to look up the max and min values of different data types. Okay, so that's our objectives. So let me move this one sec. Okay, and I'm going to open up our project. Now, a couple things. So I'm running Java on a Chromebook. So I do have a video on how to install Java on a Chromebook. You can also open up your terminal. Let me make this a little bit larger for you. So we can open up the terminal here. And you do have to install Linux. I have a video on that as well. And let's see, make this a little bit larger. Oops. Okay, so one way you can install Java is you can type sudo apt install default-jdk. Okay, and that will install Java 11, the OpenJDK Java 11. Now, for this video, I'm actually using a little bit older version of Java, and there's a couple different reasons why I'm using that. You can use a newer one if you want, but I'm using Amazon Corretto 8, which is also free to install. You can go to downloads here. For a Chromebook that is a AMD chip, has an Intel chip, which is what I'm running, you can install it with the .deb. For other types, you have a .rpm, you have a tar.gz, and you have different ones here. But I'm using this top one, this .deb. Actually, not the checksum, the download link, the .deb. So you just download this. So let's actually do that. And you'll see it downloads. Now I've already got it installed, so I'm not going to go ahead and install it again. But you can go click Show in Folder, and you can right-click and just click Install with Linux. So that'll get you started. Now, for IDEs, I have a subscription to JetBrains, but you can get the free version of the IDE I'm using, IntelliJ. So let's go to IntelliJ here and go to Download. And you can download the community one for your operating system. So, and that one is free. Okay, so if you want to follow along exactly, now you don't have to do this. We're learning basic Java syntax, and I'll show you how to basically run it in a terminal as well, compile it and run it if you want to do it that way. So, but you can follow along. I'm using IntelliJ with the light theme here if you want to match up exactly. Now, when you start with IntelliJ, you create a project and you name it whatever you want, but you have this source folder. What I'm going to be doing is creating files in the source folder that are Java classes, and I'm just going to be running those individually to illustrate the concepts. It's not how you do it in a project, but that's how I'm going to do it for this tutorial because it's more about learning the syntax in this Java 101 course. Okay, so first lesson objective is we want to be able to print to the console. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click here, click New, Java class, and we're going to give it a name. I want to do it all in uppercase, and I would call it print to console, and just hit enter, and that's going to do the .java extension. You do want to have that on the end if you're using a different text editor or IDE. But I'm actually, because I'm sharing the GitHub repository with you, link is in the description below, I'm going to be having numbers at the end of these files just so I can keep track of where I am on the lessons. So I'm going to name this print to console and just do 001 at the end. Now, normally I wouldn't do this, but again, it's just for these lessons, okay? So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to create this public class, and then it's the same as the name of the file. You do want to have whatever the file name is, have it in caps, and have a public class and then the exact same name without the .java at the end. Now, if I take this out here, well, you won't see the .java, but it does have a .java. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to create a main method, and I can do that with a shortcut with my text editor, and I can type just main and hit tab, and it will autocomplete with me. Now, for some reason it's not doing that and you're using IntelliJ, you probably don't have it in the source folder here, okay? All right, so to print to the console, we're going to do something called System.out.println. There's a shortcut for that in IntelliJ, just typing sout and hitting tab. And then it gives me this system in caps .out.println. Okay, so that will print to the console. So we can print something like, hello, my name is Timothy Unkert. Okay, now I'll run this here. And it's going to take a moment and build and then run. May take slightly longer than normal because I am recording as well. And my computer is being slow this morning. And I have this on presentation mode. So we see we created an out folder here, and then you see to the console, hello, my name is Timothy Unkert. Finished with exit code 0, so meaning there's no errors. So that's all good, okay? Now, let me pull up my terminal here. Let's cd into ID projects, which is the default folder it creates. Now I created this project for this course called Java Lessons. Let's cd into that and let's take a look. Okay, so let's look here. So we have this Java lessons.iml, lesson objectives.markdown. That's just for me. I created that markdown file, this out and the source. So let's first go into the source and list out the files. And we see we have this print to console 001.java. In the IDE, it doesn't show the .java, but you do have that. Another way, if I wanted to run this and just run it and not use this project structure just to get used to the syntax, what I can do is I can type Java C and then the name of the file, print to console, okay? And now if I list out things, I notice I have this class file. So now I can do just the command Java and then print to console 001. The class is not going to be left off. And you'll see we get, hello, my name is Timothy Unkert. So I can run it that way if I want to. I'm going to be using IntelliJ to run it in the console using the IDE. But if you're not using IntelliJ and you want to use something else, you can do it this way, okay? All right, so that was our first thing we did. I'm going to get rid of this .class because, so let's actually delete this, okay? And let's actually look now too at the out. So we see production, Java lessons, and then this print to console class here, which is what ran. So the IDE created all these folders and then the output here, okay? All right, let's now talk about something a little bit more interesting. Let's talk about creating some variables, all right? So I'm gonna create in this source folder, again, this is just the way I'm doing it for this teaching here, is I'm gonna create another Java class. So I'm going to right click, go to new, Java class. I'm going to name this variables. And again, I'm doing this odd naming convention here, 002 at the end. And then you'll see it automatically creates this public class variables 002. Okay, we'll go here and I'm just going to type main and I get all this boilerplate code, the public static void main string, these brackets here, args. Talk about that later on. Don't worry about that right now. But if you're just typing out the code yourself, you're going to have to type this out. Okay, so now I'm going to create two variables. One is going to be a string. So I'm going to type string in uppercase and then the name of the variable. So string name equals, and then I'm going to say in quotes the name of the string. So it's going to be my name, Timothy Unkert. And I'm going to end this with a semicolon. Now, if you notice when I did S out, and hit tab, it gave me a semicolon at the end, but at the end of each of these statements, you do want to have a semicolon. Okay, and what I'm doing here, let's make a comment. I'll make it below just so you can see it a little bit better. A single line comment you can make with 2 forward slashes like this. I am declaring and initializing the variable name, which is, let's make another comment, of type string. Okay. Now, if I wanted to make a multi-line comment, I could do something like that with the forward slash and the asterisk, and then it closes with an asterisk and a forward slash. So this is a multi-line comment. Woohoo! Now these comments are not going to show up on, let me spell woohoo right. These comments are not going to show up when I compile and run this program, but they're just for developers to see. You want to get a good habit of making comments. These aren't the best, but I'm just demonstrating comments for you. Okay, so I also want to create a variable called age. So I'm going to create a variable of type int, that's integer, age. I'm going to set it equal to my age, which is 46, put a semicolon at the end there. Okay, so now we can print this stuff out to the screen. So let me get rid of this so you can see it a little bit better. So if we want to print it to the screen, we can use our shortcut sout, which gives me System.out.println, which is the actual code you need to type if you don't have that shortcut. And then we can do, hi, my name is, we'll leave a space here. So we're leaving this space here. And then we go over here and we do plus the variable name plus do another space. So leave a space here. So we have a space in before and after the name. And we can say, and I am, another space, plus age, plus another space, years old. Okay, so we're combining this together to print out to the screen. Okay, let's do that. And we're going to compile it and run it. You see it's going ahead and it's building. And I have it in presentation mode, so it'll look a little different for you when you're running it. So it says, hi, my name is Timothy Unkert, and I am 46 years old. So you notice, even though this is an integer, I was able to print it out in this statement that included strings. Okay, so Java's smart enough to know that, okay, I just want to keep it like that. Now on this file, I included another thing we could use, which we could print out, is a long. So let's take a look at a long. So I'm going to make a comment here. Let's take a look at a long. So to declare a long, we use long, and this is for big numbers. So let's say world population. It's almost 8 billion, right? So we do 7,900,000,000. And at the end of this, we have to put an L. So it knows it's the long. Because if I do this, I get this red underline. And then if I hover over it, my IDE is telling me the integer number is too large. Now, if I do the L here, it knows I'm using a long, and now everything is good. Okay. Now, if I want to print this out to the screen, so print out the world population to the screen, what I can do is do sout, my shortcut, which gives me System.out.println, and say the world's population is, do space, do plus, world pop, plus, do space, and do a period here at the end, just for punctuation, right? So let's now run this. We'll compile and run it. Now I am using a shortcut to do that, and it's basically Shift Option and or Shift F10 is the keyboard shortcut. So the world's population is this number. Now, should also be noted, let's create a new world population. Let's say we got more people. So I'm just making a comment, more people, which isn't a great comment, but whatever. We'll say new world pop. And what we could do is, where commas are, we can do, let's do 999. Okay, just change it a little bit. We get 99 more million people. Okay, we can do this. And Java is smart enough to know that these represent commas. And it just makes it more readable for humans. Sometimes you'll see this in the code. So I'm going to do sout, and I'm going to say the new world's population is, and we'll do new. And you see it gives me these suggestions. I can use the arrow key, hit tab to autocomplete, and period there. Now let's run this. Okay, we'll go ahead and run. And we see that the new world's population is 7,999,000,000. Okay, so even though we put these dashes under it, Java knows that this is just making it readable for programmers. Okay, so that was a little bit about variables. We started into data types there. We're going to talk a bit more about data types, and then we'll go and do even more about data types. Okay, so let me bring back the project window here. We'll go to source. We're going to create a new Java class. Let's call this data types. So data types 003. This has a .java if you're not using an IDE like I am. And we have public class data types 003. I'm going to type main and hit tab, and that's going to autocomplete and give me that code. That's really sweet. I don't have to type that all out. It's that boilerplate code. And what we're going to do is we're going to now use Java to find the max and min of different data types, okay? Because certain data types hold larger or smaller numbers. We're specifically talking about numbers mostly here. And the reason you'd want one that holds a smaller number is to save memory, right? Because it takes more memory to hold a larger data type, but sometimes you got to do it. So if you want to really optimize your program, you want to know about the data types. Okay, so I'm going to make a comment here: data types, and do integers. Okay, so we can say something. We can create a variable int. We'll call it max int, and I'm doing these variable names in camel case. So we have the first word is lowercase, every other word is uppercase. So we do int max int, and then we can do start to type integer. I'm going to hit tab and do dot, and then we can do this max value, and then do a semicolon. And that's going to give us the max value that is allowed to for you to have an integer. So we can do int. Let's do min int, and we'll do integer dot and then min value. Okay, and let's print these to the screen. Print to the console. So we'll do sout. We'll do and just pass in the variable max int, and then sout. So System.out.println, and we'll do min int. Okay, and again, I'm doing Shift F10 if you're using IntelliJ here to quickly build and run it. All right, so we see that the max value here, if we look for a integer, is 2,147,000,000, etc. The minimum value is negative 2,147,000,000, etc. Right. So interestingly, if we tried to type world population with an integer, that would not work. So let's actually create an integer here that is too large. All right, so let's say int too large int, and we'll set it equal to, let's say, 2,147,483,648. So we're going one number above, and if we hover here, it says, ooh, that integer number is too large. So now let's just print it anyways. Say the heck with you, IDE. I'm just running it anyways and see if it goes. And it's giving us an issue. Let's try and compile it from the command line. So let's just list out here. So this is a data type. So let's do javac data types 003.java. And it's giving me a too large. So it's not going to even let me compile it. Okay, so that's something to be aware of here. Okay, so that was integers. All right. Let's talk about doubles. And you notice how that red underline was helpful to me. it's not just IntelliJ that does this, but it was very helpful telling me, hey, this isn't going to work. Don't do this. All right. So now doubles is a different data type. So we're going to do double, and we'll create a variable, call it max double, because I am super creative on my variable names. And then we'll start to type double with a capital D, and you'll see this top option comes up. It's double. I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to do dot max value. Okay. And that's going to give me the double max value. I'm also going to do a double, lowercase double, and then the name of the variable, so min double. So I'm declaring this min double variable. Now the equals is initializing it. I'm going to do uppercase double, dot, and then min value. Notice those are all in caps. Let's print the doubles to the console. Now double, it's a little different, okay? So I want to show you another thing with the double here. So let's do double pi equals 3.14. Notice I put a decimal in here, so I can't do that with an integer. Like if I did int pi2 equals 3.14, look at that. It's all red. It's saying no. And it says required type int provided double, okay? So that means I need to get rid of this decimal here. Now it's all happy, okay? All right, so doubles can have decimal points, but let's print out the min and the max value. So I'm going to do sout to get System.out.println, and then I'm going to do max double. And I can duplicate a line with Control D here. Nope, I have well, maybe not. It's not letting me do that for some reason. I must have the keyboard shortcut set differently. Anyway, so let's do another System.out.println. We'll do min double. Okay, so now let's run this. So again, I'm doing Shift F10 if you're using IntelliJ. That works on either the community or the paid version. Okay, so these numbers look a little different. So we got 1.797, blah, 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 blah. And then we have this E, 308. Okay, and then we have 9E, negative 324. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that's scientific notation. So it's really 1.79, etc., times 10 to the 308th power, which is a huge number, okay? And then on the other side, the negative side, it's 4.9 times 10 to the negative 324th power, which is another huge negative number, okay? So doubles, you can hold a lot, all right? Okay, so we printed out those. Let's go to shorts. It's not summer anymore, but we'll talk about shorts. So we're going to do a short. We're going to do a max short, okay? And we'll do a short dot max value. And you'll see my IDE is even telling me what it is. I don't know if you caught that, but if you slow it down, maybe go back. I'll do it with min short. So we do short dot min value, negative 32,768. So you'll see it right here. Max value gives it that. Anyway, so let's choose the min value, and we'll confirm that. Print out max and min short values to the console. So I'm going to do max short. Again, I'm using that sout keyboard shortcut to get this boilerplate System.out.println. And we'll do min short. Okay. All right. Let's compile and run. And you see those values that my IDE was hinting at was 32,767, negative 32,768. So in the last one where I used variables here, let's pull that one up. What I could have done was done a short. And notice that I've got this green check mark here. It says, it's all good. 2 typos, but my name, they consider my name a typo, which it's not. But anyways, so I could have used a short, and possibly a short would have been a better value to use because an integer holds a lot more. It holds up to 2 billion, right? And change. A short only holds up to 32,000. Now there's also unsigned ints, unsigned shorts, those kind of things. We're not going to talk about that in this video. I'll let you explore that. You can Google it because, yeah, I mean, you don't need to know the dictionary. You just want to know kind of how to find things, okay? We are going to talk about floats. So let's talk about floats. So yeah, when you're learning a language, don't try and learn every single concept in it. I'm going to try and give you a good overview, but you want to learn the major concepts, but not every single minor little thing. You can look that up via Google. Okay, so we're going to do float. We'll do max float here, and we'll set that equal to float dot, and then max value here. And then we'll also do a float. Now floats also have decimals. We'll do min float, and we'll set that equal to a float dot min value. Okay. Now let's print the maximum and minimum float values to the console. All right. So let's do our shortcut. All right, and we'll do max float. Okay, and a shortcut, and we'll do min float. Okay. All right, and I was wondering why my shortcut wasn't working. I have this set up. You can set up the key bindings. I have it set up with Sublime, so it's Control-Shift-D if you set it up with the Sublime key bindings. Anyways, let's print these to the screen. Okay, so it's going, and okay, so we still get the scientific notation here. So we get 3.402, etc., E38, so times 10 to the 38th power. And then for the minimum value, you get 1.4. It's not a negative value. I think I said negative. It's 1.4 times 10 to the negative 45th power. So that's just, doesn't mean negative 1.4. It's just how small it can get. So it's like 0.00000, like 45 zeros and then 1 4, right? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If doesn't, I would review scientific notation and you'll understand what that is. The whole point is here, floats will hold less, they're less exact than doubles. Let's put it that way. If you're really wanting it to be exact, don't use a float. Okay, and there are a couple others, but again, you can look that up if you really need to get specific on a data type. Okay, we're going to do one more, just talk about some other non-numeric data types for the most part, although I included one at the end. But anyways, I'm trying to follow along with what I'm doing for GitHub, so it makes sense when you look at GitHub and look at the source code. Okay, so let's do a Java class, and I named this one other data types. 004, okay? All right, so we've got our public class, other data type 004. Again, the naming is just for instructional purposes, so hopefully that makes sense. We're going to do the main, so I just typed main and hit tab, and it gave me this boilerplate code here for the main method. Okay, first one I want to talk about is the character, and actually this is interesting, so let's talk about the character data type. So let's do a character, we'll do my grade equals, in single quotes here, A, right, uppercase A, okay? Let's do character my other grade and do lowercase a, okay? And, we could print the character to the screen. So we could do s out, do something like, let me get rid of this, my grade in Java is an, and then we'll do my grade and do a period for punctuation. Now let's just run this to confirm it works. My grade in Java is an A, okay? Cool, all right, but here's the thing. We can also find the ASCII value of a character, all right, with some type conversion here. So let's print the ASCII values of the two characters above. All right, so let's do s out. We'll say the uppercase A has, actually we'll just do plus character here. or not character, my grade is the uppercase A. The uppercase A has an ASCII value of, and we'll do plus. Now we're going to do some typecasting. We'll do int in parentheses in front of my grade, do a plus and a period just for punctuation. Okay, so let's run this. So we see the uppercase A has an ASCII value of 65. Okay, so that's the ASCII value of that. Now, let's do Control-Shift-D and we'll duplicate this. And then I'm going to go over here and we'll say the lowercase, and this is my other grade, has an ASCII value of my other grade. So this is the lowercase a, and I'm going to show you the difference here. Okay, so the lowercase a has an ASCII value of 97. So this matters sometimes when you're doing sorting arrays of, say, strings or that kind of thing. It's going to go off the ASCII value. So sometimes if you have, like, let's say I had a bunch of characters here and I had like A, uppercase A, uppercase B, lowercase b. You see when it's sorted out, it would sort it out via the ASCII values. So you have uppercase A, uppercase B, then lowercase a, lowercase b. It would go that way. So for the default sorting. So it's important to keep in mind that sometimes sorting arrays will go off ASCII values of different characters. So you'd be, why is it sorting it that way? That's the reason. Okay. Another type of data type I want to talk about is booleans. Yeah, I've got the fridge going in the background for some reason. Of course, when I'm filming, it decides to act up. So to create a boolean, we start typing B for boolean. You see it gives me the suggestion, oh yeah, you want to type boolean. And I'm going to do is teacher and set it equal to true. And we'll do another boolean is student and set that equal to false for me, but it could be true. A little question mark there. And I'm going to jump ahead and just, you don't need to learn this just yet. I'm going to show some conditionals with truthy falsy. So let's do some conditionals with truthy falsy. That's kind of what they say in Python. So we say if is teacher. Well, then what we can do is normally we would put like a bunch of statements in curly braces, but if it's just one, we can just jump down. Let's do a System.out.println and say I am a teacher. And then we could do something like else. I don't want to autocomplete anything. And do s out. Oops. I am not a teacher. Okay, so now we've got this it's teacher. Now it's highlighting it, and if I hover over this, it says condition is teacher is always true. But a lot of times you'll check like a Boolean statement and you'll determine it based on the program. This is just telling me it's always going to print I am a teacher. All right, so let's run it. And we get the last thing says I am a teacher down there. Now, if I could do another conditional here, I could say if is student. In this case, it's always going to be false, so it's highlighting it. And if it goes over it, it says condition is student is always false. But again, this can be determined by the program. We'll get into that later. So we can do s out and say something like I am a student. I am a student. Okay. I'm going to do else and print out I am not a student. Now, since we set is student to false, if I run this, I'm getting I am not a student. Okay, so the else statement, because this is not true, so it skips over that, goes to the else. We'll talk more about that later, but anyway, so that's Boolean data types. All right, let's go down, and the last one I want to talk about is bytes. All right, so We're going to do some bytes, and we can hold numbers in those too. So we'll do max byte equals, and we'll do uppercase byte dot max value. And you'll see my ID is telling me it's equal to 127, and then byte min byte. But if your IDE wasn't telling you the stuff, and the min value is negative 128, you can see here. You could write this code and figure it out, okay? Okay, so let's now run this. And we didn't print anything, so I was looking at some of these warnings here, and it's like variable max byte is never used. Variable min byte is never used. Now the other two are like, condition is teacher is always true. Well, yeah. Condition is student is always false, so it's always going to be the else statement here. It's always going to be the if statement here. Okay. Anyways, let's print out the byte maximum and minimum to the screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do s out. We'll do max byte, and then s out min byte. Okay, we'll run this, and we should get 127 negative 128 for our last two lines of this code, which we do. So if you were doing this in a text editor, it's not going to tell you that, oh, the max value is, this is 127. As you can see, my IDE is telling me that. Or the min value, when I hover over it, is negative 128. Negative 2 to the 7th power. Or this one is negative 2 to the 7th, or 2 to the 7th power minus 1. Okay, it's not going to tell me that. Anyways, so that's pretty much it for this lesson. Let's check and make sure we did everything we set it up to do. So let's go to our lesson objectives, get rid of that, and pull this over. Hold on one sec. All right, so we wanted to print our name to the console with small greeting. We did that. Learn how to create and use variables to print to the console. We did that. We learned about integers, doubles, floats, string, short, long, boolean, and byte. Okay, so now what you need to do is create your own program using the concepts you learned today. There'll be a link to the GitHub repo in the description. That's not really homework, it's just a note. And you'll know you succeeded if you can print a welcome message with your name to the console. And you can use Java to look up max and min values of other data types. Okay, hopefully this is helpful. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you like this video, please give it a like, as it will help get out to more people. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing for more content like this. Either way, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.